What's good, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new episode of me watching the weirdest and most disturbing videos from all over the internet with y'all. Anyways, without further ado, let's get to the video. And matter of fact, before we start, I just wanted to give y'all a quick little warning. Just make sure not to throw up or regurgitate everywhere. You know what I mean? Yes, these videos do indeed be that weird sometimes, so just be careful.
Rosa de Guadalupe.
Yes.
This specific episode is a very disturbing episode, and I remember watching this episode. What's it called? Sales de baño, lo más oscuro. This kid, he's frantically moving, kind of looks like he's on some possessed shit. He's just moving like, ah. And you see a bunch of doctors trying to restrain him, but they keep saying, yo, this kid is like abnormally strong. They were telling the mom, there's something wrong with your kid, bro. This isn't normal. Did he take anything? And the mom is saying, no, he's a saint.
The mom's in denial.
The sister, she ends up finding something in his room. Little baggie with some white powder in it, and she's like, esto es cocaína.
Yeah, it was dandruff.
And he's slowly becoming an addict.
How old is this kid? How old does he
in high
look?
school.
Then they find out that the shit that he's taking is cheaper than actual. He starts getting crazy, he starts burning up, and he has to take off his clothes. Him and his girlfriend go to a party, and they take regular, and he goes back home, and he's kind of like, what the fuck is this whack? I want the other stuff. Fast forward to another party, he wasn't taking the regular like everybody else, he was taking his own shit. And then this is where like shit just hit the fucking fan, bro. He starts taking his clothes off. The girlfriend's like, ooh, let me like get him a little more hot, let me dance on him. But him, since he's tripping, he starts seeing her like evil,
Like she's a demon or something?
like some trippy ass shit, bro. And then it just goes to him lunging at her, and he starts eating her face.
Is this
Bro,
a Guadalupe
man,
episode?
Yes.
and I don't understand why he's the one who got the fucking win, the happy ending at the end.
You know what? They came to the conclusion what he was actually fucking doing, right?
Solid.
Bath salts.
I mean, yeah, let's not act like the last clip was normal. I mean, first thing first, the mom calling her son a saint is like crazy to me. He's literally closer to being a demon than a saint. I mean, the boy is 12 years old, snorting coke and basically doing drugs and eating his girlfriend's face. I mean, at that age, personally, when it comes to me, not only did I not do drugs, but I couldn't even speak to a girl because I was a shy little boy, let alone eat her face. What kind of family is this?
If you found out your sweet little neighbour was actually a serial killer. Dorothea Puente opened up a boarding house in California in the 70s. This catered mostly to clients who were struggling with addiction and mental illness. However, things would only get worse for these residents. One by one, they started passing away, and people started asking questions about what was going on behind the scenes. In the fascinating podcast Killer Psyche, retired FBI agent Candice DeLong explores Dorothea's case and the hidden desires and motives of more cold-blooded killers. It would take years for the gruesome truth to be uncovered about the killer landlady. When officers eventually dug up her garden, it was discovered there was at least 7 bodies buried on her land. Everyone was wondering what on earth caused this sweet old lady to start murdering her tenants one by one. Tune in to Killer Psyche to find out. Check out Wondery's Exhibit C library for your true crime fix. From shocking scams to crazy cults to cold case murders, Exhibit C literally has the most nail-biting crime stories documented in such thorough research ways.
I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, really. I mean, look at her. Who would have expected this innocent-looking grandma to be out here murdering her fellow neighbors and burying them in her backyard? Like it's a regular hobby for her or something. She's making it seem normal. I mean, who would have expected? I mean, look at her. What's wrong with you, Granny? I mean, this story is making me fear my own grandma. I don't know how to feel about this.
In 2015, Chase Dowell was hunting with his brother in Montana when a worst nightmare situation happened. He came face to face with a male grizzly bear weighing up to 400 pounds. Chase only managed to walk a few steps backwards before the bear knocked him down and bit him directly on his head. After this, he bit Chase's leg and shook it around like a dog playing with a toy. The bear then tossed him in the air and continued to try and bite him. As the bear continued to attack him, Chase remembered a story that he read in a magazine once, and I quote, "I remember an article my grandma gave me a long time ago that said large animals have bad gag reflexes. So I shoved my right arm down his throat." Crazy enough, after Chase did this, the bear left and Chase escaped what was almost certain death. Chase's brother then drove him to a hospital where he received treatment for gashes he sustained during the attack. Thankfully, he did not sustain any life-threatening injuries and went on to make a full recovery. But as crazy as it is, if he didn't shove his arm down the bear's throat, he would most likely be dead right now.
This is literally one of the creepiest animations I've seen in my life. And are we gonna ignore the fact that the dude with the yellow shirt was built like a bear himself? I mean, my man's looked like a grizzly bear. He probably would have been able to save his friend if he hadn't ran away. But and another thing that I must talk about is the fact that the dude had to save himself by deep-throating a bear using his arm. Like, he was literally fisting him. I mean, that's kind of kinky, you know. That's probably a new fetish that I never heard of before. And guess what? I'm not interested. On to the next video.
Strangled to the point that her neck was broken by her teacher, who then left her for dead in the woods. He was recently released from prison, and the video of them finding her is absolutely horrifying. This is the disturbing case of Ashley Reeves. On April 27th, 2006, 17-year-old Ashley Reeves told her parents that she was going to a job interview. So she took her boyfriend's car and then left her Belleville, Illinois home. But in all reality, Ashley was actually going to meet up with 26-year-old Samson Shelton, who at the time was a driver's ed teacher, but he had previously been a teacher at her middle school. Unbeknownst to everyone, the two had been having an intimate relationship together. At least that's what Samson says. What he was actually doing was grooming and abusing her since she was a minor. So when a few hours passed and Ashley never came home, her parents immediately reported her missing to the police. They then found the car Ashley was driving abandoned on the side of the road, and in it were the clothes that she was supposed to be wearing to the job interview. At this point, everyone knew that Ashley was in danger, so her mom started combing through her phone records to see who she'd been talking to in the days leading up to her disappearance. One number stood out, and it belonged to Samson. So when her mom called him, Samson said that he had no idea where Ashley was and hung up on her. At this point in time, he was line dancing at a country bar. Friends of Ashley's came forward and told police that she'd been seeing an older man and had planned to meet him the night she disappeared. This was enough evidence to bring Samson in for questioning, which is exactly what the police did. It would take 12 hours of interrogating for him to begin confessing, but at first he admitted that he was with her the day she went missing. But he said that they had had an argument while he was driving, and he kicked her out of the car, leaving her behind. He said he didn't do a single thing to hurt her. A few more hours would go by before he confessed to everything. He admitted to having an intimate relationship with Ashley, but said that she was persistent and that she was the one who pursued him for a long time. He then admitted to having an argument the day she went missing while they were driving. He said he tried to end things with her and she got mad, so he put her in a chokehold, which ended up breaking her neck. Samson said that her whole body went limp, and in a panic, he dumped her body in a wooded area in Citizens Park. He said that he wanted to make it look like she had been strangled in the woods, so to emphasize this, he put his belt around her neck and strangled her repeatedly. At one point, he was pulling the belt so tight around her neck that it actually broke. Thinking she was dead, he left her in the woods and then went line dancing at the country bar. This is when he spoke to Ashley's mom on the phone. She was looking for her daughter, and he had just gotten done brutally strangling her. Yet he decided to go line dancing, not having a single care in the world. So Samson told police where Ashley's body was, and when they went looking for her, they fully expected her to be dead. After 40 minutes in the pouring rain and complete darkness, police stumbled across Ashley's body, but somehow she was still alive, even after having her neck broken and being strangled repeatedly. On top of that, she was left alone in the woods with her injuries for 30 hours, but she was alive. Authorities didn't think she was going to survive because she suffered severe brain trauma from the attack, but she did. She spent the next year relearning how to swallow, walk, and talk, and although she doesn't remember much from that day, she is alive. Samson was then arrested, where he pleaded guilty to attempted murder. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but he was released a couple of months ago after having only served 17. He was given the earliest possible release allowed by the law, which is just crazy to me. He is clearly a danger to society. He will spend the next 3 years on parole and is banned from having any contact with Ashley. I feel like this isn't justice, and I can't even imagine how Ashley feels knowing that he is a free man. He hasn't shown any remorse, and even during the interrogation, he only cared about himself. He literally asked the detective if he would have a private toilet in prison because he can't pee in front of anyone else. Meanwhile, Ashley was laying there, slowly dying. What he did was deranged, and everyone in Illinois should know his face and be careful around him.
I mean, this literally almost made me speechless. I mean, the dude was telling the detective, "I swear I did not hurt her." I mean, yeah, you didn't hurt her, right? You just almost killed her and broke her neck and left her to die in a forest. Yeah, I wouldn't call that hurting her, right? Yeah, it's more like murdering her. I mean, yeah, the dude is weird, I mean. And the fact that he went to a bar and started dancing as a celebration thinking that he killed her? Yeah, jail forever. And you deserve it, buddy. Dude, crazy. Whatever that Insidious movie was, I'm not watching it. Matter of fact, thank you for letting me know. I'm gonna make sure to stay away from this. I don't mess with horror and scary movies. I'm a very sensitive guy.
Seen the video of it's a baseball game. They're like warming up and then a ball is about to hit the news person. And he turns around, he goes like this. The baseball
Oh
player.
yeah.
Do you remember what the news anchor looked like?
Was a woman.
What
Blonde?
blonde, right?
Yeah.
Evan, there's been a lot of changes this offseason for your team. How do you feel your chances are in the AL East?
I mean, I love our chances. You know, it's been. Guys, keep it on the field.
That's not fake. That's how it is.
Nah, bro. I called cap on that shit. There's no way. I remember her being blonde.
Me too, bro. I remember her being blind. I also remember her saying, "Wait, did you get that?"
Yeah, I remember that too. These Mandela effects be tripping me out.
I mean, I don't really feel like I'm qualified to commentate about this because, to be honest with y'all, I remember it being two dudes. Or I just may be slow mentally.
These are the most unusual deaths ever. A 26-year-old man from New Hampshire had a very bad case of snoring. So he attempted to cure his snoring by shoving tampons into his nostrils while he slept. So one night before bed, he stuck the tampons in his nostrils. Later that night, his partner tried to wake him up, but something was wrong. He wasn't breathing. It turns out he suffocated in his sleep from the tampons, and the sleeping pills he was also on added to the breathing difficulty. Next, a doctor from Houston, Texas named Hitoshi Nikito was killed after his head was trapped in an elevator door. At the hospital he worked at, he was partially decapitated as the elevator ascended, and he also had injuries to his ribs and spine. There was also reports that he was drunk, but it's not confirmed. Next, 21-year-old Josh Hutcherson was driving home drunk with his 23-year-old friend Francis Bromes. Francis was hanging out the window puking when Josh drove off the road and sideswiped a telephone pole, which Francis hit and completely decapitated him. Josh then drove home and went to bed, and his neighbor found the headless body of Francis in his back seat.
And yeah, this is very disturbing. I mean, in the beginning, I was about to laugh because I truly was expecting these animations to be something funny. But next thing you know, we have 3 headless dudes. I don't know how this happens. Like, imagine looking out of a window and losing your head. I mean, and how does the friend drive home like nothing happened? Like, it took the neighbors to discover a headless body in your back seat? What's wrong with you? Like, you shouldn't even be driving. You're a menace to society, buddy. Lock him up!
If you witnessed a murder, would you call for help? If you said yes, then think again. This is the horrific case of the murder of Kitty Geneves. It changed how we understand human behaviour forever. It was the 13th of March 1964. Kitty Geneves was a 28-year-old woman from Brooklyn. She worked as a bar manager in Queens and lived with her girlfriend Mary. She would frequently arrive home very late in the evening due to her role. On the night in question, things were no different, and she left work at around 2:30 a.m. Shortly after she left, a man spotted her in her car. This was 29-year-old Winston Mosley. Unfortunately for Kitty, she would become the target for this man, who admitted to driving around looking for a victim. Now, Kitty parked her car only 100 feet away from her front door. Chillingly though, Winston was hot on her tail. He came up behind her and launched a hunting knife into her back. Kitty screamed out in pain. She shouted, "Oh my God, he stabbed me, help me, help me." It's reported that several neighbours heard her cry, but only a few of them thought that it was a cry for help. A neighbour named Robert at this point heard the screams and rushed to his window. He would later tell police that he shouted for the man to leave her alone. He then saw the perpetrator run away. Little did Robert know that Winston simply went round the corner and waited 10 minutes to return to his victim. He went back to Kitty, who at this point was bleeding, unable to get through a locked door to get help. He once again stabbed her, he then AR'd her and robbed her. He left her there to die. Now after this, it's reported that a man called Carl Ross had witnessed this and called his friends and asked them what he should do. They told him to obviously ring police, which he then did. Tragically, Kitty died on the way to hospital. Now, Winston was tracked down less than a week later and made a full confession to the hideous crime. The New York Times later published an article about the murder titled 37 Who Saw Murder Didn't Call Police. The article discussed how, for around half an hour, 37 or 38 people witnessed the attack and didn't call police. Tragically, by the time they did, she was already dead. The newspaper report quoted one witness who apparently said, "I didn't want to get involved." There was also then a book published called 38 Witnesses, the Kitty Geneves Case. The theory of something called the bystander effect was birthed. This refers to how people in a crowd may be less willing to help somebody than if they were the sole witness to something. Essentially, the thought behind it is that if many people witness an incident or something horrific like a stabbing, for example, you may feel less personally responsible to help. You may also just incorrectly assume that somebody else has already got help on the way or somebody else is going to take charge. Whereas if you were the only person to witness it, you may feel pressure to help. Some people believe that the New York Times exaggerated the number of witnesses to the crime. It's also reported that someone did in fact call the police. Kitty's neighbour ran down the stairs and comforted Kitty as she lay there waiting for an ambulance to arrive. Now, regardless of the actual facts of the case, the bystander effect is widely known and used in psychology. Kitty's girlfriend actually passed away this year.
I mean, dude literally randomly woke up one morning and decided to be like, let me drive around my neighborhood today looking for my next murder victim. I mean, yeah, the dude is obviously deranged and weird. Like, there's a lot of other types of hobbies that you could pick, you know, maybe play football, you know, try to play basketball, do something productive instead of roaming around your neighborhood, stabbing ladies to death. And the fact that there was 38 witnesses just watching her get decapitated, I mean, that's weird and straight disrespectful, so I'm obviously not gonna make fun of that, but yeah. What's wrong with y'all? Call the cops.
Is the worst candy ever made.
Nah, hold on. Let me really think about this shit, bro.
I'm gonna talk my shit. I have 4. So almond joy's part of that. I hate almond joys with a passion.
There's people that fuck with that though.
Nah, I don't care, bro.
There's like
I'm sorry.
big ass like audience.
I'm sorry, bro.
When it comes to like the minty chocolate, people love that shit. I don't like it. It's disgusting to me. But yo, there's a lot of people who like that.
Yo,
shit.
why'd you get canceled over some chocolate, bro? I'm gonna get tight. But milk duds are disgusting. Butterfingers are disgusting.
Ew. I know what's the top of the top, most disgusting, worst fucking candies of all time. If I see that, I will throw up.
What?
Red chili, some shit like that.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking
What
about.
is that? Even the gum is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
The red gum?
The red gum is just like cinnamon flavored.
Who eats that candy, bro? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm gonna have you rank these from best to worst.
Oh my, I think this is gonna be harder than the candy, bro.
Snickers, M&M's, specifically the ones
yellow bag.
Yeah, yellow bag with peanuts.
Oh my god.
Kit Kats.
While these two dudes cry about candy, let me tell y'all about how I personally feel about candy. When it comes to me, I stay away from candy. I don't like candy because I hate the dentist. You know what I mean? Candies are my enemy. Let's put it this way.
This man was caught on camera murdering his wife, and he only got 10 years in prison. Carrie Birmingham, who was 60 years old, shot his wife Patricia Birmingham, who was 48 years old. He shot her 3 times outside their home in Spring, Texas, and the couple had been arguing for about 30 minutes after Carrie allegedly discovered the affair his wife was having. This incident was captured on video by his wife Patricia, and in the disturbing video, Carrie can be seen walking in the driveway with a bathrobe on and a shotgun in his hand. Carrie can also be heard telling his wife, quote, "Okay, bye. You're going to meet Jesus. I hope it was worth it," end quote, before shooting her 3 times and killing her. Whatever you do, don't look up the video. It honestly is pretty disturbing, and I wouldn't recommend watching it. After doing this, Carrie was arrested and charged with murder, being held on a $200,000 bond, and recently in 2024, Carrie Birmingham pleaded guilty to the murder, but claimed he shot his wife in the heat of the moment. And despite the jury being all females, the woman sentenced Carrie to 10 years in prison, with parole eligibility in 5 years. Now I'm going to play a short clip from the video showing Carrie talking to Patricia before he shot her dead.
Video? I'll pull it. A man that can pull it. Okay. All right, goodbye, Reese. Nice to know you. You go meet Jesus.
First thing first, the fact that this dude right here was able to get a wife and marry her is a miracle itself. I mean, my man's looks like Butterbean. If y'all don't know who Butterbean is, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's an old boxer. Look him up. You'll know what I'm talking about. And second of all, the fact that he's looking at her talking about you're gonna meet Jesus, knowing that he's about to kill her, is very creepy and deranged. Hopefully my man's is in jail forever, because obviously it's well deserved. He killed his wife. Like, what's with these murders about killing your family members in these videos? Like, is it a hobby or something? Because I keep seeing it every day. Like, is this something that I don't know about? Stop shooting people, boy.
This woman claimed that her 18-month-old daughter would become the next Jeffrey Dahmer and killed her because of it. I don't think that I've ever been more angry reading a true crime case. This is Cheyenne Hill. Police were called to Riley Children's Hospital in Indiana on November 23, 2022 after Cheyenne's daughter, 18-month-old Eliana, was admitted with horrific injuries. Eliana was severely malnourished and had a brain bleed, a broken collarbone, bruises on her face, and a swollen and deformed head. After seeing just how bad her injuries were, someone in Child Services notified authorities about Eliana's condition, which sparked an investigation into Cheyenne. While she was still hospitalized, Cheyenne told police that Eliana would become the next Jeffrey Dahmer, a serial killer who killed at least 17 men and boys starting in 1978. She went on to say that she believed her daughter was not a nice kid and that something wasn't right with her. When police asked her why she compared her 18-month-old to Jeffrey Dahmer, she laughed, and as Eliana lay there dying, Cheyenne called her an asshole. Sadly, just a few days later, little Eliana would die because of her injuries. Her death was ruled a homicide as a result of blunt force trauma to the head. Early on in the investigation, it came to light that a couple of witnesses noticed bruises and swelling on Eliana's face in the days leading up to her ultimate death. And on one occasion, a witness even told Cheyenne that she needed to be taken to the doctor. But Cheyenne snapped back at them and said, quote, "No. Under no circumstances are you to call an ambulance or take her to the hospital. I will make the decisions. That is my child." End quote. Cheyenne would eventually take her into the hospital, but not for another 8 days. Authorities also found that Cheyenne reportedly told a neighbor that Eliana was going to kill someone one day, and she also blamed Eliana as being the reason why her boyfriend wouldn't marry her. Even with all of this evidence, it would take nearly a year for Cheyenne to be arrested in connection to her daughter's death. During the trial, prosecutors couldn't prove that Cheyenne was the one who inflicted the injuries, but they were able to prove that Cheyenne neglected Eliana after the abuse. Cheyenne reportedly left Eliana in critical condition after the abuse and went to work, which is what ultimately led to her death. On Tuesday, Cheyenne was convicted of child neglect causing death and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. She showed no emotion or remorse in court. It's stories like this that anger me so much and make me realize that not everyone should be allowed to have kids.
I mean, the girl was like a year old. You know, she can't even walk yet. And you're comparing her to Jeffrey Dahmer. Literally a assassin. What's wrong with you? I mean, yeah, some people just shouldn't have kids. I mean, poor girl. I mean, that lady's literally, she has to be schizophrenic or something. I mean, I can't really sit here and diagnose her, but one thing I know for a fact is that she's crazy. She's crazy. She has to be. Like she's looking at her daughter talking about, "Oh my God, you're the next Jeffrey Dahmer. I need to kill you before you grow." What is you talking about, lady? Just casually kills her daughter and goes to work. Just another day, huh? Jail!
This pop star murdered by a fan as she came off stage. Christina Grimmie from New Jersey was talented from a young age. At the age of 15, she decided to set up a YouTube channel in order to share her love of singing online. She started posting covers of pop songs and people loved it. She gained a huge 1 million subscribers and moved to LA to pursue her dreams. Other artists could see how talented she was. She made connections with some of them, including Selena Gomez. She actually eventually ended up supporting Selena on tour. In 2014, she ended up finishing 3rd place on the talent show The Voice. This grew her audience even more. However, on June the 10th, 2016, things would come to a tragic end. Christina was singing at Plaza Live in Orlando. Once the performance was over, she was eager to meet her adoring fans backstage. She planned to get some photos and sign some autographs with them. She had no idea this would be fatal. At 10:24 p.m., Kevin Loibl was waiting to meet the pop star. He'd been stood in line patiently. However, when she reached her arms out to greet him, he grabbed his weapon and shot her. 3 shots entered her head and chest. Now, Christina's brother, who was actually her manager, was there and witnessed the entire sickening incident. Acting on instinct, he rugby tackled Kevin to the ground. Tragically, though, it was too late. As Christina lay bleeding on the floor, Kevin unalived himself with his weapon. A member of staff at the venue described the situation as horrifying. Christina was rushed to hospital but tragically passed away. Now, police obviously couldn't ask Kevin why he did what he did because he was dead. They had to interview those closest to him to try and get a glimpse into the mind of the killer. What they found was that he left this chilling note on his door before leaving to go to the concert. It says, "Deepest sorrow for lost to the family, friends and fans of the very talented, loving Christina Grimmie." No other comments. It turned out that the 27-year-old from Florida had purchased weapons just the day prior. Now, frustratingly, it appeared that he'd gone into the venue with those weapons. His bag was seemingly not checked. Friends claim that the man was obsessed with the singer to an alarming extent. He would spend all of his time looking at her social media and pictures of her and videos online. When anyone would question him about it, he got really defensive. Christina's death understandably shocked so many people, and everyone was devastated. Fellow musicians rushed to social media to express their sorrow. Selena Gomez said, "My heart is absolutely broken." Her family created the Christina Grimmie Foundation in 2017 to raise money for victims of gun crime.
I mean, how can he be a hater and a fan at the same time? And the fact that he left a nice little note before killing her is even creepier. Like, the dude is literally a fan, stalking her Instagram, looking at her pictures. Like, he even said that she was talented in the note. Like, what's the point of killing her? Yeah, that's a fan that I don't want to have, if you know what I mean. Dude is weird.
This Walton, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. There was a documentary made on him. He's one of the most known and like one of the earliest alien abduction stories that went crazy viral because of how vivid and what he remembers experiencing. He tells the story the same every single time. This happened in 1975. Travis Walton and a crew of 7 people, they were out chopping trees. The sun was going down. They decided we're gonna call it a day. Let's just get out of here. They all ended up going in the same car and they see a bright light in the forest. And they're kind of confused but also scared because they think, damn, what if this shit's a forest fire? As they're getting closer to the light, they realize that it's not a fire. It's a UFO with golden light coming from underneath.
Like the pictures that we always see online and stuff?
Exactly like that. Travis Walton decides, goes closer to see what the fuck it is. By himself, bro. Out of nowhere, this like blue beam of light sent him flying, bro, like 10 feet. From there, he passed out. The guys that were in the truck, they dipped.
They left him?
They saw that shit and they left.
Oh man, what the?
They saw that the UFO wasn't following them. They went back for him. The UFO wasn't there no more. And there was no signs of Travis either. On the 5th day of him being missing, he ends up gaining consciousness and he appears in a random ass fucking highway. He remembers him waking up in the ship. He said that he didn't panic at first because he saw a square rectangular light.
He thought it was maybe the doctors or
He
something?
thought it was the hospital. He gained a little bit more consciousness. He looked up and there was like some sort of device on him. And that he saw 3 figures. They all had an orange jumpsuit. One of the figures was like staring him dead in his eyes.
First thing first, when it comes to me personally, if I ever come across a weird light in a forest, I'm running in the opposite direction, you know? One thing I'm not gonna do is what Travis just did. See, what y'all need to understand is that y'all need to learn from people like Travis. See? He found out the hard way. If I see something that I don't know about in a forest, I'm dipping. I'm not staying there to find out. Travis, hopefully you're still alive. Nah, he probably passed away. It's an old story. But anyways, do better next time, Travis. Stay away from them aliens. You know what I mean?
Streamer killed his girlfriend while live streaming, and it's one of the most disturbing things ever streamed. Stanislav Rashnikov, who was on the left as a vlogger/streamer, was famously known as Stas Reflay, and he inflicted inhumane physical abuse on his pregnant girlfriend, Valentina Grigorieva, who was on the right when a viewer asked him to do so for merely $1,000 in his YouTube live video. Valentina's beating was followed by Stas stripping her naked and forcefully locking her outside of the house in sub-zero temperatures of December. Valentina kept on knocking on the door, telling him that she was going to die. After 15 minutes, Stas checked on Valentina as she stopped knocking on the door. He then found Valentina's unconscious, not breathing, and pale body. Stas made a failed attempt at resurrecting his girlfriend by giving her CPR. Eventually, he grew very scared of what he had done and called the paramedic team. In the footage, he can be seen carrying her back into his apartment trying to revive her. He is heard saying, "Velia, are you alive? My bunny, what's up with you? Velia, Velia, damn, you look like you are dead. Bunny, come on, tell me something. I'm worrying. Damn, I'm not feeling a heartbeat, guys. No pulse. She's pale. She is not breathing. Wake up, Velia. I love you. Wake up." The paramedic team then arrived and announced Valentina dead upon examination. Initially, she was assumed to die from hypothermia. However, the forensic team revealed that Valentina had died from a head injury inflicted upon her during domestic violence. The police arrested Stas soon after he killed his pregnant girlfriend for money, and he was given a sentence of 6 years by the court in 2021. But what do you think about this? This man literally put his pregnant girlfriend outside in freezing cold temperatures for $1,000 because one of his viewers donated it and told him to. This is absolutely gut-turning, and the live stream, if you ever decide to watch it, is extremely unnerving, especially when her lifeless body gets brought into the live stream. Just hearing him talk to her and knowing that she's dead is extremely unsettling.
He's like, "I love you, bunny. Please wake up. You seem dead." You think? You literally just killed her over a donation from a live stream. The dude who probably sent it is probably a nerd. Like, imagine killing your significant partner, the woman who loves you, over a donation. He's like, "Oh, bunny, please wake up. I love you." Too late, buddy. You killed her. Like, what do you expect? Jail.
Case will put you off ever going to school again. This child was kidnapped by a school security guard. She wasn't rescued for 10 agonizing years. Tanya Catch lived in Pennsylvania with her dad and his girlfriend. Her parents split up early in her life and she didn't have much contact with her biological mum. She also didn't really get on with her dad's partner either. She was feeling unwanted and confused and turned to drink and substances to cope. She struggled to connect with friends at school and would often bunk off, leaving her quite vulnerable. In 1995, she came across a man called Tom Hose. At the time, he was 38, and he was a school security guard. He had a son of his own, just 2 years younger than Tanya. Now, initially, she was scared that he was going to get her in trouble. Obviously, she shouldn't have been bunking off. Instead, though, he made friends with her. He started grooming the 14-year-old with gifts and money. As she was a child, this was very appealing. He would buy her jewelry and sweets, and she thought he had good intentions. Thinking he really cared about her, they ended up kissing. Then in February 1996, things took a really dark turn. Tom told the young girl that they could run away together. She obviously felt that she didn't really fit in anywhere, so she obliged. On the 10th of the month, Tom took the child and hid her in his home. He actually lived with his parents and son, so he had to hide her from those people. After being sold a dream, Tanya soon realized that this was more like a nightmare. She had to be kept hidden in Tom's bedroom. She was unable to make any noise or leave the property. He fed her leftovers like an animal, and she had to go to the toilet in a bucket. Tom also regularly SA'd the child. However, she was too scared to try and leave. He would emotionally abuse her and convince her that she was worthless and nobody would even care where she was. He even threatened her that if she did leave, he would kill her and her family. Now, Tanya was reported missing, but police had limited involvement. They already knew that she had a history of running away. Tanya was initially held captive for 4 agonizing years, just 2 miles from her home. When she turned 18, Tom got a little bit more confident to introduce Tanya to people, but called her Nikki. He was confident that she was brainwashed enough to never leave. He would let her out of the house by this point, but always gave her a strict curfew to abide by. Years went by where she was pretty much trapped in this house, apart from the odd occasion he let her out. The young girl was still terrified to make her true identity known. Then in March 2006, the then 24-year-old woman was brave enough to tell a member of the public that she was actually the missing girl. She told a kind couple who owned a local deli about what was happening. She said if they looked online, they would find her on the missing child's website. The members of the public obviously took this information to the police. Tom was arrested and Tanya was overjoyed that she was finally free. After holding the girl for 10 years of captivity, Tom pleaded guilty to SA, amongst many other offences, in 2007. Shockingly, he was given just 15 years in prison and was released in 2022. Now, shockingly, Tanya's dad actually blamed her for her own kidnap. Therefore, the two do not have a relationship anymore. Tanya, however, is happily married and now advocates for other victims of abuse and trauma.
Imagine being a little girl going to school only to get snatched up by the school security guard. Weird. I mean, you should have stayed home, girl. It was kind of your fault. But I get it, though. You were a little child, we all do dumb things in life. But, I mean, I'm happy about the fact that, she wasn't murdered, at least, because to be honest, I was expecting this from the first second. Like, I literally was expecting her to, end up chopped up somewhere. I mean, that's how it goes usually. But I'm lucky for her, she's still alive. And yeah. Anyways, y'all, episode is over. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was a little dark compared to the ones we've done in the past, but it's all good though. We managed to survive this one. Anyways, don't miss me too much. I know I'm fantastic. I'll see you on the next one. I mean, yeah, I guess this is goodbye. Peace out, y'all. Have a good rest of your day. It's the Neon One signing out. Farewell.